All right. What's going on? Another day of low volume. So I almost didn't get out of bed this morning, just to be honest, because this is just not. I usually, if the volume is under 90K, I usually don't like to trade. But let me go ahead and get everything set up. But this just gives me an opportunity to keep testing, the stream to the max. Make sure all my sound checks and everything is together. Then we can get to it. All right, everything should be coming through okay. Still a couple things that I like to do. I want to be able to run the stream and run in the Discord at the same time. I just don't have that ability to put the music through like I want to in the Discord. I have to figure that out. Alright, just making sure I'm set up on this end. Got a couple things. It's one of the reasons why it's been a while since I've did these live streams again. I think I mentioned this on Friday. My system's a bit different than what it used to be before, so it's a lot of moving pieces. I want to make sure I can focus on everything like I need to. I'm trying to narrate and do all this other stuff, so the low volume does have a benefit to it for me today. I get to test everything out. And let's look at this market. Let's see. So this is NQ. Not a whole lot has happened, but we are slowly trading lower. We had a small gap overnight. I locked it in about 0.05%. I mean, over the weekend. I'm sorry. We had a small gap over the weekend. And we still haven't closed that gap. We've just been slowly dropping price. We do have a floor here at PR minus 2. But a lot of ranges. A whole lot of ranges. Let's see, where's my quote board? Just gonna run through the other one, see if there's anything else to pay attention to. You can see on the daily, we've just been slowly grinding higher for all the indices. I don't have NQ up here, but they're all pretty much the same. But all of that has been happening on really low volume. It's just like a lot of the typical participation that we, that we've been getting over the past several months up until about, I guess, towards the end of July. All that participation, they like most of the people are just sitting on the sidelines or something. And it's mostly, I've mostly just been witnessing wholesale. So with art, what's this? ES, we got a little bit more of a dip. Traded all the way down to PR -4. We haven't really set a real floor yet for ES. Look at RTY. Same thing. The exact same thing. Same sentiment with YM. So NQ is the only one that's really been has set an actual floor. NQ can many times lead the way, and sometimes it can follow the other one. So we'll see what happens. It's a good chance that I actually we'll see. I probably won't even trade today. I just don't like to trade with low volume. CL is also selling off on this bare moon. You can clearly see that on the daily, down into some little the low of that range. It's also been previous support. Had a little pivot right there, quick pivot. Those who missed it here jumped in right there on the buy. Also, of course, this buy up from last week will be some short covering. A little bit of everything in there. All right. Looks like we got red across the board. Let me go ahead and look at GC and 6E real quick. GC hit its bare moon. Same thing with 6E. So it's red across the board. And we can see that right here in our quote board. Daily change is nothing but red. In terms of, let's see, news, there's nothing really going on this week other than the FOMC on Wednesday. We got nothing significant scheduled for today. There's always something economical going on, but I just look at the high rated events, and we don't have anything scheduled for today. So we shall see it. How thou work it. Run through my checklist, make sure I didn't miss anything. Make sure my phone is silenced. I don't have any unnecessary distractions. What's going on, Johnny D? Let's see, I got my trade copy open. Oh, okay, that's what I need to do. I need to get my snapshot. At this point, there's really nothing else to point out. I'm just going through all of my pre-market stuff, and then once the open, this is like the way these streams will go. Once the open, once we get the bell, I'll go quiet on the mic and just focus. And then if I trade, I'll trade. And once I'm done with the trading, I'll probably jump back on the mic and give a quick analysis. And if I don't see, if I just don't get the feeling to pull the trigger, then I'll go ahead and jump back on the mic at some point. daily reminder. The only goal is to trade the strategy to perfection. Stick to your strategy. Keep in mind the big picture. And I got all of these in my morning routine, the checklist. Stay fearless and just do what you do. Also reminding myself to reset quantities on flat. I like to speak that out loud. Got a session high range here at what is this? 557 to the high around 570. And then a session low range of, let's see, we just call that 504 to PR minus 2. That'll make it real nice and simple. And that's on M and Q. So NQ, there's a little bit of difference between NQ and M and Q, I believe. Let me go back and look at that. Same thing. I thought it should be the same thing. So just want to be aware of that because when I'm doing like my numbers and stuff, I pull the numbers from NQ, but I'm always trading M and Q. So just want to make sure I'm not. So price wise, once I'm doing analysis, I'm talking M and Q. For structure and volume and all that stuff, I'm usually talking NQ. All those internal numbers. That's NQ. Got about 5 minutes before the open. Make sure I got all my screenshots and everything. I put all my screenshots inside of the journal, of course. And if you're new here, that journal can be found on mv3trader.com. It's right there on the home screen, the link to it. What's our morning ATR? It's at 24.2404. One last volume check when I'm doing my journal. Still at 74K. It's probably gonna be a no trade day for me. Especially for a weekend. Like a weekend, you usually see so much more volume than this coming back on a Monday. we got a little bit of something going on. 2 minutes before the open. Got some. I started saying the energy increased slightly on that buy action off of PR plus 1 or PR minus 1. So we did have some buy participation right there at 525. Not really a real floor, but we did get a reaction there. And we're just slowly stair-stepping our way higher. Looking at a supply area of 540 to 550. Inventory is at 510 to 505. And again, we all know the disclaimer. This is just my perspective, my view on the markets. It's not trading advice, and I would highly recommend to not copy me. Anything that you see I do, you don't know my true intent. And that's anybody. That's not me. That's anybody. Great trades come from within. Alright, let's watch this thing open. I'm gonna go quiet on the mic for a minute.
Order submitted. Position opened. Position closed. Position opened. Order filled. Position opened. Order filled. Position closed. Position opened. Position opened. Order filled. Position closed. Position opened. Position closed. Position opened. Position closed.
Alright, so I think I played around enough, testing some things out. Everything, on my end worked out pretty smoothly. Really testing how well my PC can handle everything and didn't run into any issues at all. So that's cool. In terms of what we've been looking at, just a whole bunch of wholesale, as I expected, but price isn't jumping around as much as it was on Friday. So that's one difference I am seeing, even though we got all of this, what people will call choppiness. We got prices bouncing around here. Right now, looking at the inventory zone of 552-ish to about 540, 544. Just hit supply at 584. Put a little radius around that. A little mental radius around 584 for supply. I'm just highlighting some areas, some triggers from the core strategy, or the core strategy. Or I say the core of the strategy. Really haven't figured out an actual term for that yet. If I was trading that, using that alone, I'd probably have been done by 9:45-ish. I would have hit 2 trades and I'd have been done. Just by the way that this thing is trading. So we went right back to front ran that inventory area. So that's a price, I call it a price markup. And then we went right back to supply. Hung around in supply for a quick second and then blew right through it. So we got this nice little markup range. Looking at this like you would look at a retail store, where we just adjusting price based off of what we want customers to do. Got a strong markup right now, trying to get rid of all the supply, or all this inventory that we collected down there. The demand is running hot. And that has taken us into a breaking the high of last week, or attempting to. So this takes us to the high of last week, the high of Friday, which was pretty much the same as the high of Thursday, around 585. So right now we're trying to hold it. I personally don't get caught up too much into the exact numbers. I'm looking at everything as ranges. I witness things rarely react to the exact number that I'm looking at. It's more beneficial to me to look at the price as a range. Little micro inventory area of 610. Let's see if we can hold this new high. Lack of supply, so we push higher. New markup supply area was at 630. PR plus 2. This does officially put us in that happened several minutes ago, but it's into the bull zone. So per my strategy, I would primarily be looking for long plays here. That's just being consistent to the strategy. It's not really trying to be a genius or, anything like that. No secret information. It's consistency to the strategy. And that's all you really, honestly, that's all you really need. You hear a lot of people on these podcasts, it's on YouTube and all over social media, say about what you need. You need this, you need that. But really the only thing you need is persistence and consistency. Because of the repetitive nature of humans. And on that note, I haven't really been listening to a lot of stuff. Like I try to listen to a podcast or something like that around trading. Even around I like to listen to business stuff as well. And I've just kind of been low on that and looking for other things, because it's getting to a point where it's becoming repetitive. And they're like, you can see in the beginning. So there's one of my favorite YouTube, or one of my favorite podcasts that I used to watch every single episode, like, religiously, just because it was how interesting it was, in the host, how authentic they came off. And that didn't change. But why it's hard for me to watch that now is because it's like they're talking about the same thing and you don't see the evolution. So when you're growing, of course you're going to want to see that externally as well. And it's kind of a layered topic, but I like to see the growth. And I don't want to see, if I started watching you or paying attention to you or whatever it's happening a year ago, I wouldn't expect to see the same exact thing that you're doing. You're still doing that same exact thing today. And that's actually the tricky thing about trying to be, I guess, internet famous or whatever, and trying to get the most out of these platforms by the way that people teach it, as in following the algorithm. And the fact is that the people that are using these platforms actually control the algorithm, but not the other way around. But I'm not gonna get too deep in that. That's getting. So I'm gonna try to stay focused on the charts today. We got it back to that inventory. Before I called that a micro inventory range of 610. So now we're seeing the buy response off of that again, after raising the supply bar to slightly above 630. Gathering some more inventory the way I'm reading this, but we can have a push lower. Still reading mostly wholesale. Not seeing any major players here yet. And it's just it's something that I really don't have a quantifiable measurement of that. It's a feel. It's an energy thing. Back to PR plus 1, so that hasn't really served as any like a real level to respond to. Yeah, I think before it did kind of serve as supply, but it hasn't solidified. I'm not looking at PR plus 1 as anything solid as of yet, but that can change. It seems like we brought the inventory range down to PR plus 1, slightly above it. And I want to call this something different, but we just, since on the other end we're calling it markup, I'm just going to call this a markdown for now. Haven't really decided how I really wanted to frame this, but starting to see lower lows, bringing us back inside the neutral zone. That wouldn't change my strategy bias. Just something to be aware of. So if they want to keep this pattern up, they would, we can expect some sort of reaction that we're getting right now at PR plus 1. The price could definitely go in either direction. Anybody watching, go ahead and leave it in chat how the audio is coming through. So I have to keep going back and forth. And guess if it was sounding messed up, someone would let me know. I would hope so. Alright, getting a response there at 600. This takes us back inside of that micro range. As of right now, I'm still looking at this as an inventory building range between 600 and let's just go ahead and lower that down to 580. On this low volume, you have to kind of, well, it makes sense to expect some or a lot of range bound trading, as you know, they move price where they're trying to take it, because you just need inventory. You need inventory to be able to move price. Imagine if you was trying to shop somewhere online and you see that they were out of stock of what you was trying to buy, and they just kept changing the price. It would, look weird, and it wouldn't make a lot of sense for the retail seller. So that you got to build your inventory. Literally, you have to build your inventory and before you can start messing around with the price, so that you actually have something to sell. And then in trading, that goes both ways. So I try to maintain a neutral mindset and not be stuck to one side. I don't like to be what they would call a perma bear or a perma bull. I'm just always looking to buy. I like to stay fluid in this whole thing, because it is a liquid environment. This is why we use these terms. But back to our inventory range. We're just not really moving price in much of too far of anywhere right now. We're just hanging around this in this tight range. Wait. So it's about a 15 point range. You solidify the floor. I got this red line here. I'm not sure what this red line is. I don't know. Yeah. It's that red line. Yeah, I don't know where this came from. I don't know if it's something I had before or whatever. But anyway. So I'm just gonna act like it's not there. But anyway, we got this floor that they've put in around 590. Actually, you can just call it 590. Where I will be looking to see where and how we extend from that at some point. Do a quick volume check. Just realize that this is not changing from what y'all can see. All right, so we're at 158 right now. That's a volume read of NQ. So M and Q is at 374. But I just been watching NQ for so long that that's my reference point. I'm also glad I didn't trade today because there was something I was supposed to change over the weekend, and I just realized that I didn't do it. I have to make that adjustment after this stream. Starting to see a response at that 605 area that we saw a response. It's already, well, I mean, it is supply. It's a supply range. So, of course, it's going to keep moving. It's not going to stay stagnant. It's not a stagnant number. All right, back down to our 590. Making an attempt to push through. There's a break. Do we hold? I have seen it also where we extend our inventory before we make that the real push higher. All right, I'll be looking at 580 to get a feel for what they're trying to do. Push below that and brought price back, and we're stalling. Now on this low volume, it just depends on what they're trying to do. If they're really trying to be predatory, they don't have to bounce price back and forth like this and collect these orders. They can choose to just go seeking further and get that spread really moving, or just open that spread up a lot, much more than these little bitty ranges that we have right now. We're slowly pushing lower, slowly marking down price. Which is usually it's a sign of a setup of something bigger to come. Kind of holding inventory stable at 573. I think at this point I don't have to keep mentioning that I'm looking at that's not an exact price. That should be understood at this point. Continuing to slightly lower price before we get a response. It's interesting to watch price slowly move around like this. I can already hear, you know, certain, we just call them participants, who find this is boring. For me, this is, I don't know, maybe this is like really entertaining to me, just watching price move around like this, because it's kind of suspenseful in a way. And then also just to see, you start to see how our price controller, not being an individual person, that could be a group, it could be whatever, but those that are responsible for the movement of price, you know, you kind of see what they like to do. You get a feel for how they like to operate. And this is also why I said, like before, consistency is, so if you try to, you know, outsmart this and try to chase it based off of pure speculation, then, you know, this could be tough to trade. But just for me looking at it from the perspective of the different strategies that I've created, if the, you know, just sticking to the strategy consistently would simplify everything. And it's either going to work or it's not going to work. So stick to your strategy, stay consistent. If you got a good strategy, if your strategy is complete, it'll work out eventually. This is why risk management for retail is so key. Okay, let's see, kind of messed that up. Alright, so now we got a nice little response off of VWAP. Institution's favorite indicator. Just on the speculation side of the game, I don't like to speculate, but just on that, just for fun, I'm kind of got my eye on 580 to confirm a narrative that I'm playing in my head right now. So where all of that right there, because I was looking at that as position building, so that could have been, there is a narrative where it would make sense for that to be a VWAP play, and we were, you know, building that position based off of how many points they were trying to get off the VWAP. $580 would be a key number for me. On that note. Just hanging around 570. Back to inventory, micro inventory. course, the main inventory is going to be off VWAP down to 550. If I was a short seller with a lot of size to move, or I had a lot of size to move and I was short in this, there is a way that I could have played that 2 VWAP from 580, since that is where we did see price stall. And then that response that we got off VWAP would be unloading that position. This is a solo sport with a lot of participants, so there's no one narrative. There's a lot of things that made price, or that contributed to price doing what it did there. Back to retesting at 550. We did get a can't think of the word, but we did get the response that we were expecting at 550. So now we're continuing to mark price down, take prices lower. We just set a new lower low. Quick pivot, then right back down. This is the time where I usually get my triggers. If I do that, what's gonna happen? Okay, good. Reaction off of PR low. Got an inventory reaction off of the PR low. Right back to VWAP. That painted an interesting picture. What is that on the 3 minute? Switch over my view. Alright. So looking at this 3 minute. Oh, dang it. I don't know if you can see it. I don't want to mess with my charts too much, but create a nice little 3 minute candle right there what we can inspect. So you can see we had a lot of buying pressure here. Below 5, this is called at 558, and you would expect this to hold. If it doesn't, that creates a lot of room to the downside. None of this stuff has to work out that way 100%. It's just what's likely, because we also did kind of get that right there around 570. Eventually we did push below that, and we're still seeing some buy participation, strong buying down here below 560 to 540. Now they did paint the picture to get people looking at this from a long perspective for a potential break above 560. Hoping to make it back to 600 or higher, maybe 630. That's what much of the market has been trained to look at. So we'll see how that plays out. And that is actually going to do it for this stream. I appreciate everybody for coming through. Hope you find some good trades out there if you did decide to trade it. And I'll see y'all on the next one. Trade it easy.